Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever you are doing right now. Welcome to the second part of this term, this topic that is very confusing sometimes there at the courses. I have had the experience of teaching this schools, right? And all the time students always say this is kind of confusing, kind of new for some of them. And well, let me tell you that you're not totally, how can I say, lost. Okay, here I'm gonna explain the second patterns. Okay, in the previous pattern, in the previous video, verb patterns number one, I explained the verb pattern with ing. The gerund pattern. Now let's get it with the second part. Okay, let's get it. Here we go. It says here we have verb patterns. All right, here with infinitives. The infinitives is a second verb form, as you can see here in English. We have different forms. Okay, just let me have a review of forms. We have this form that is called uh, full infinitive. Okay, this is the one, full infinitive. Okay, the full infinitive has this two. Okay, you have to include it. Two. All right. For example, in this case, I can say, let's see here, to offer, not to agree or whatever. Okay, so that is the infinitive form, right? For example, the first one, I can say offer, offer, and then I can say the infinitive, offer to help. Okay, offer to help. She offered to help. Okay, so well, in this case, that is the first, if we compare with the verb pattern number one, we have now two verb patterns or two verb forms. Okay, two verb forms. The first form was the gerund, and then now we are going to see the verb patterns with two, which is the full infinitive. Okay, the full infinitive is the second in this series. Okay, well, let's get it. And here we can see the list of verbs that will take this in the second verb. Okay, so it means that this is the verb number one. Remember, the verb patterns is when you have two verbs together, right? That's the idea. That's the thing. When you have two verbs together, now look at this in the second verb. If you take a look at it, we have to use the full infinitive form. Okay, so for example, offer to help, agree to help, refuse to help, decide to help, plan to help, arrange to help, etc. I mean, you can combine and you can use the second verb with the. You have to use the infinitive form. Okay, the full infinitive form in the second verb. All right, that's the deal. That's the rule in this case. Okay. Well, let's get it with the next information. We continue. All right. It says here we have more examples. Okay, we have more examples with these verb patterns. Okay, so well, just take a look at it. The first one, look at this. It says it was a long way to walk, so we decided to take a taxi home. You see, we decided to take. Okay, that is the verb pattern we have to follow in the second verb. Okay, now let's go with the next. It says here Simon was in a difficult situation, so I agreed to help him. Okay, that's the other example with the verb agree. In this case, we have to use the full infinitive, as you could see in the previous session. Okay, now it says here, I waved to Karen but failed to attract her attention. You see, now we are using the same pattern. Okay, full infinitive. And the next says here, I like Dan, but I think he tends to talk too much, right? Everything is following the same pattern, okay? The full infinitive pattern. Look at that. In this case, we're gonna see. Okay, let me show you here. We're gonna see this new thing. Okay, that I'm gonna explain in the following slide. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna show you first. The first one, it says, "How old were you when you learned to drive?" Now, or you can say, "How old were you when you learned how to drive. Now, in this case, if you want to take a look at this, okay, how to drive, that is sometimes known as a clause, relative clause. If you remember, or if you have that previous concept about relative clauses, you can identify here very easily how how is joining the sentences, right? But I'm going to explain that in another video, okay, how to use relative clauses, of course. Well, this is just one thing you have to take into account, because you can use the verb patterns combined with some of these linkers or relative classes in a certain way. Okay, so let's get it. Let's continue here at this map. We have more things here. We have the negative form, and you have to be very careful, because the negative form is going to be not to, okay, not to. It says here, for example, we decided not to go out, okay, because of the weather. I promised not to be late. Okay, so this is the way you have to use the negative form. Okay, in the second verb, of course, using the infinitive, the full infinitive form. All right, let's get it. Now here in this case, we have more information. Something that is very important. Okay, here you can see, very important. If we put the concepts, if we put the first verb pattern, that it was the gerund form, and now we compare it with the second verb form, that is the infinitive, the full infinitive form, we have to be very careful of not committing mistakes. Okay, for example, here you can see the word enjoy. Remember that enjoy is using the gerund pattern. Okay, enjoy, this is the verb number one, and the verb number two has to be with the gerund form. Okay, you have to follow that. Okay, don't get it confused. Don't get it confused. Okay, so this is wrong. Okay, not enjoy to read. This is wrong. Okay, the same happens with suggest and the suggested meeting for coffee. This is the same thing. If we compare the gerund form, okay, in the verb pattern that we studied previously, you can see that this is wrong, right? Are you thinking of buying? And I wanted to show you here in this section, especially. Let me put it here. I wanted to explain what happens when you have thinking and you have a preposition after this verb. Okay, let me show you very fast. We have a kind of rule, of course. Okay, a gerund rule. And what's that rule? Okay, so well, you think of that. Okay, for example, the word of, okay, this word of is a preposition. Okay, and the rule that I'm going to say right here is that when you have a preposition, okay, when you have this preposition, or when you have any other preposition, okay, preposition, right here, preposition, all right, when you have a preposition and then you want to add a verb over there, you need to use this verb with the gerund form. Okay, use this verb in the gerund form. So in this way, we have to say, are you thinking of buying a car? And not would be like this. Okay, this is going to be wrong. The one that you can see here, not thinking to buy. Okay, that's not the right thing. Okay, you have to say thinking of buying. All right. So well, let's get it. Here we go. We get the next part. We have some verbs like there. Look at that. We have the verb there. And we can use the infinitive form, okay, the full infinitive, okay. When you say after that, you can use the infinitive with or without to. So when you say the infinitive with, that is called, remember, this is the full infinitive. And when you say the infinitive form without to, that would be called a base form. Okay, that is called the base form. For example, you have the verb. Let's say, let's put this situation. Okay, let's have this example very fast. You have the verb work. Okay, you have the verb work. Because this is the full form, we have to say to work. Now, in contrast, with the base form, you only have the verb work alone. Okay, just like this, work. So this is the difference between this verb form, okay, that is full infinitive, to work, versus the base form, that is only work. Okay, so in this case, we can see that there can be using the pattern with the full infinitive, and also it can be used with the verb pattern with the base form. Okay, just like this, it says, I didn't dare to tell him. Okay, here you can see that is to, and now in the second, or I didn't dare tell him. Here in this one, we can see that is the base form. Very easy, very simple. So well, let's continue with the next. All right. Now this is getting kind of messy, okay? Kind of thick, but look at this. Don't worry. Go step by step here following these videos. You will get it. We have these verbs, okay? For example, seem, appear, pretend, and claim. Okay, so be very careful. Don't worry. Let's get it. Look at this. We also use to after seem, appear, pretend, and claim. Right? You can see all of these verbs right here. Let's see the examples. They seem to have plenty of money. I'm pretending not to see me when she passed me in the street. Okay? Now look at that. Well, in these cases, we can use these verbs, okay? Seem, appear, pretend, claim, with other patterns, okay? With other, with other verb patterns. I mean, using the clauses, okay? For example, look at that. I'm going to explain very fast. You can also use to be plus the continuous infinitive. What is this? What is this? Right? Look at that. You have to say, okay, to, okay, and then the continuous form. For example, here, look at that. I pretended to be. This is going to be together, and this is the infinitive form. This is the full infinitive form of the verb to be, of course. Infinitive to be, right? But it's called now as continuous infinitive. And here we have to say because we have the verb to be, and then we have a general form, so that is called continuous, but it's in the infinitive form, right? So this is the combination between the continuous tense with the verb form that is the infinitive, you see? All right, I hope that it doesn't get you more confused, okay? Look at that. The verb form, okay? You have to separate the verb form and the tenses, okay? They are two different things, okay? But in this case, we can say that the continuous infinitive is a combination of both, okay? We have the verb form that is the infinitive, the full infinitive, and we have the tense that is continuous because it is using the verb to be. Okay, look at that. Okay. Now we can use the clause, okay, the clause with that. Okay, we can see here. I pretended that I was reading. I pretended that I was reading. So in this case, we can use the clause, the relative clause with that. Okay, look at that. Now let's say the other one. Have you seen my keys? I seem to have lost them. It seems that I have lost them. Okay, now in this case, I have to explain what the perfect infinitive in this case. This is the perfect infinitive. Look at that. Seem to have lost them. Okay, seem to have lost them. Look at that. It's the same. You are combining the verb form. Okay, let me put it here. Verb form with a tense, con un tiempo. Okay, with a tense, just like this. Okay, it says here seem. Okay, to have. Okay, to have. Okay, now this is the verb form that is a full infinitive, but it's with the tense past perfect. Okay, so that is why it's called perfect infinitive, because you are combining the verb form that is full infinitive, and you are putting it together with the tense that is present perfect. Okay, seem to have lost them. Okay, that I have lost them here. It seems that I have lost them. Okay, so you have to use, well, you can use the clause with that, or you can use the verb pattern with the perfect infinitive. Okay, which is the best thing to do sometimes. Okay, to use the perfect infinitive. We have to use these two verb pattern forms. Okay, and here later, okay, after watching this video, of course you will get some practice with this. Okay, now look at this. In the next part it says, she claimed not to have seen me. She claimed not to have seen me. It says, she claimed that she hadn't seen me. All right, now here what you are using is the clause with that. Okay, this is the clause with that. So, well, you are combining with the past perfect. Okay, but this is not, of course, in this case, this is not a combination between the verb form and a tense. You are using only a clause like that. Okay, well, let's get it. Don't get it confused. Okay, little by little, you're gonna be working with this, right? Let's continue. We have more things, more examples now. Here we have to use, we can use what, how to. Okay, now we are checking more clauses, more relative clauses. For example, ask, know, decide, remember, forget, learn, explain, understand. Okay, let me put it here. Let me have a correction. Understand. All right. Understand and wonder. Okay, we have to use these verbs. Okay, we can use these verbs with what, how, to. Okay, let's get it. Look at this. Look at these examples. We asked how to get to the station. Have you decided where to go on holiday? I don't know whether to apply for the job or not. Do you understand what to do? All right. So on the previous session, okay, on the previous, look at this. We have more. Show, tell, ask, advise, and teach. So the same rule applies for these verbs and for the other ones. And well, look at this. We have to follow this pattern. Okay. Okay. Just like this, we have to do this. Okay. Show, tell, ask, advise, teach somebody what, how, where to do something. So that's it. This is the thing. All right. Of course, this is probably the first time you are hearing about this. So my recommendation is that you repeat these videos, okay, and to practice them, okay, little by little. and you continue with the practice that I'm going to show you here in the description of this video, right? There you go, and continue working here with Sakula Plus. Okay, that is the invitation. And my other recommendation is that you follow the news here on this channel, and you get it practiced. Okay, you get it practiced here in Sakula Plus. Perfect. Okay, so any questions you have, put it there in the comments or send the message there on Teams. We are working there. Okay, and well, let's get it. Let's continue. Let's continue working. This is a video about the verb patterns part 2. Of course, there will be another video about verb patterns part 3. All right, let's get it. Thank you very much.